Captain Velther stared at the blinking signal on his display screen. His 4 eyes narrowed in confusion. The distress beacon was coming from Kepler 442b, a planet the Galactic Council had abandoned 50 years ago. Nobody could survive there. The gravity was far too strong. The air was poisonous. The wildlife was deadly. Yet someone was calling for help. "Prepare the medical ship," Velther ordered his crew. "They will need immediate rescue." Velther belonged to the Kasari race, a species that breathed methane gas and had delicate bodies. He needed special equipment just to survive in normal gravity. The thought of Kepler 442b made his breathing sacs tighten with worry. Whoever sent that signal must be dying. The journey took 3 days. During that time, Velther reviewed the old reports about the planet. Every page said the same thing: uninhabitable. The gravity was nearly twice the galactic standard. The atmosphere contained chemicals that damaged cells. Large predators hunted in organized packs. The first research team had barely escaped with their lives. As his ship descended through the thick clouds, Velther looked at the surface below. He blinked all 4 eyes in disbelief. Fields. Organized farming fields spread across the entire valley. Buildings stood in neat rows, connected by proper roads. This was not a dying colony. This looked like a thriving settlement. "Sir, I am detecting 50,000 life signs," his officer reported. "They do not appear to be in distress." 50,000? Velther's mind struggled to understand. The original team had only 12 members. The ship landed on a concrete pad that seemed built specifically for visitors. Velther strapped himself into his gravity harness. Without it, the crushing weight would break his bones instantly. His medical team followed, pushing floating stretchers for the survivors they expected to find. The airlock door opened. A human woman stood outside, smiling. She wore simple clothes and no breathing mask. Behind her, dozens of humans gathered, including small children. They all looked healthy. Happy even. "Welcome to New Plymouth," the woman said cheerfully. "I'm Rebecca Hayes. We run things around here. Thanks for coming." Velther's translator worked slowly, confused by her casual tone. "You sent the distress signal?" "Oh, that." Rebecca laughed. "Sorry about the confusion. We needed to get your attention somehow. Every time we sent normal messages, your people thought it was a computer error. Nobody believed humans were still here." "You have been here for 50 years, Velther said carefully. "Living in these conditions." 52 years actually, a tall man added. He carried a small child on his shoulders. The child giggled and waved at Velther. "My granddaughter here is 3rd generation. Born right here in New Plymouth." Velther looked around in amazement. The humans walked easily as if the crushing gravity meant nothing. They breathed the toxic air without any protection. In the distance he saw large animals and fenced areas. "Those are razorbacks," Rebecca explained. "We started farming them about 20 years ago. They make excellent livestock. The babies are cute too once you train them not to bite." Velther checked his data device. Razorbacks were listed as apex predators. Extremely dangerous. Pack hunters that had killed several members of the original research team. "You farm them?" he asked weakly. "They reminded us of pigs from Earth," another human said with a shrug. "We figured we could tame them the same way. Took a few years but it worked." Velther's medical officer approached him quietly. "Captain, I scanned them. Their bone density is 40% higher than normal humans. Their hearts are stronger. The gravity is making them healthier, not weaker." This made no sense. Velther looked at Rebecca. "Ms. Hayes, you activated an emergency beacon. What is your emergency?" Rebecca's smile faded slightly. She pulled out a data pad and showed him charts. "We have an emergency surplus, Captain. Our farms produce 3 times more food than we need. We have grain, meat, and textiles sitting in warehouses. We need to establish a trade route with the council. We want to sell our products." Velther felt his mind going blank. "You called for help because you have too much food?" "Exactly." Rebecca looked pleased. "Also, we have developed some new metalworking techniques. The high gravity makes our forges incredibly efficient. We think the council might want to buy our tools." A young child ran past, chasing what looked like a baby razorback. Both were playing. The child was laughing. In gravity that should crush her. Breathing air that should poison her. On a planet rated as a death world. "How?" Velther asked. "How is this possible?" An elderly human with gray hair stepped forward. Despite his age, he stood straight and strong. "Name's Thomas, Captain. I was with the original research team. You want the truth? This planet reminds us of home. But Earth is rated as a paradise world, Velther protested. Perfect conditions for life. Thomas laughed. Paradise? Captain, Earth has storms that destroy entire cities. The ground shakes and swallows buildings. We have deserts that kill you with heat and frozen lands that kill you with cold. Diseases have wiped out millions of us. We have predators that evolved specifically to hunt humans. We barely survived as a species. He gestured at the colony around them. This place? The gravity keeps us strong. The air just needs some basic filtering for comfort. The wildlife. We have been dealing with wolves and bears for thousands of years. Razorbacks are actually easier to handle. Rebecca nodded. The Council rates planets based on ideal conditions. But humans did not evolve in ideal conditions, Captain. We evolved on a world that tried to kill us every single day. We learned to adapt. This is just another Tuesday for us. Velther stood in silence. He thought about the Council's enormous database. Thousands of planets rejected as too dangerous, too hostile, too impossible for colonization. All those worlds, all those resources. And here was a species that looked at a death world and called it home. I must make a full report to the Council, Velther said finally. Of course, Rebecca replied. While you are here, would you like dinner? We are roasting razorback tonight with local vegetables. Fair warning though, we season our food with native plants. Most species find them too spicy. Spicy? The plants contain chemicals that create a burning sensation. We kind of enjoy it. Velther's eyes widened. These creatures ate pain for pleasure. As he followed Rebecca to the colony's dining hall, Velther began composing his report. The Council had assumed everyone on Kepler 442b had died 50 years ago. Instead, they had missed humanity's first successful death world colony. He had a feeling it would not be their last. The medical ship floated dead in space, surrounded by a field of broken metal and rocks. Inside, Medical Director Krenthis watched the radiation levels climb higher on his screens. His hands shook as he sent out the emergency broadcast. This is Council Medical Transport 7. Our engines have failed in the scorched belt. We are carrying vaccines for the Crimson Plague. 8 million people will die without this medicine. We need immediate rescue. The scorched belt was a graveyard of old ships and debris, all circling a dying star. The star pumped out massive amounts of radiation every second. No living creature could survive there for long. Krenthis knew his crew had maybe 12 hours before the radiation killed them all. Responses came in quickly from nearby ships. But every captain said the same thing. Impossible. The radiation is too strong. We would die before reaching you. There is no shielding strong enough. Krenthis slumped in his chair. He had spent 40 years as a doctor saving thousands of lives. Now he would watch millions die because of bad luck and a broken engine. Then a new voice crackled over the radio. A female voice, speaking with a strange accent. Council ship, this is Captain Margaret Cole of the human cargo vessel Nightingale. We are 12 hours away. We can reach you. Krenthis sat up straight. Captain Cole, did you review the radiation data? Nothing can survive 6 hours in the scorched belt. Your ship will be destroyed. We reviewed it, Margaret replied calmly. We will be fine. Nightingale out. Krenthis tried to call back, but the human ship had already cut the connection. He pulled up what little information the Council had about humans. A new species recently contacted. They came from a planet called Earth. The file said they were unusually resilient but offered no other details. 12 hours passed slowly. Krenthis watched 2 of his crew members start showing symptoms of radiation sickness. Nausea. Weakness. Their scales turning gray. He gave them medicine to ease the pain but knew it was only delaying the inevitable. Then the sensors beeped. A ship was approaching fast. Too fast. The human vessel burst through the debris field like it was nothing. It was smaller than Krenthis expected, and the hull looked old and patched. This was a cargo ship, not a military vessel. Where was their radiation shielding? The ship docked roughly with the medical transport. The airlock cycled open. 3 humans stepped through. They wore simple space suits with minimal protection. No heavy radiation armor. No advanced shielding technology. Just basic suits that any cargo worker might wear. The woman in front removed her helmet. She had short dark hair and tired eyes. Captain Margaret Cole. Where are the vaccines? Captain, you should not remove your helmet, Krenthis said quickly. The radiation levels inside this ship are already dangerous. Margaret looked at a small device on her wrist. We have been in worse. My crew has about 4 hours before we need to leave. Let us work fast. Robert, Thomas, start loading the cargo. The 2 men with her moved quickly and efficiently. They loaded heavy containers of vaccines onto floating pallets. Krenthis noticed they seemed strong, moving easily in the ship's gravity. Most species would struggle with such heavy lifting during a crisis. How long have you been in the scorched belt? Krenthis asked. About 5 hours now, Margaret replied, checking another container. We will be back in safe space in 4 more hours. Plenty of time. 5 hours? Krenthis felt his breathing sacs tighten. Captain, 5 hours of this radiation should have killed you already. Margaret smiled slightly. Humans are hard to kill, Director. You will learn that about us. They finished loading in 20 minutes. Margaret's crew worked without complaint, even though Krenthis could see sweat on their faces. The radiation was affecting them. He could see it in their slightly reddened skin and the way they moved a bit slower now. Get your crew to safety, Margaret said. We will deliver these vaccines to Sanctuary Station. 8 million people are counting on us. Captain, you need medical attention when you arrive, Krenthis insisted. Radiation sickness is... We know, Margaret interrupted gently. We will be fine. Trust me. The humans sealed their cargo bay and undocked. Krenthis watched their ship accelerate back through the debris field, moving even faster than before. They were racing against time and radiation itself. 4 days later, Krenthis arrived at Sanctuary Station on a rescue ship. The vaccines had already been distributed. The Crimson Plague was under control. 8 million lives had been saved. He found Captain Margaret Cole in the station's medical bay. She sat on an examination table while a doctor reviewed her charts. Krenthis expected to see her dying, covered in radiation burns, organs failing. Instead, she looked tired but healthy. The other 2 humans sat nearby, eating food and talking quietly. One of them was laughing at something on his data pad. Director Krenthis. Margaret stood and shook his hand firmly. Good to see you made it safely. Captain Cole, how are you alive? Krenthis asked bluntly. 9 hours in the scorched belt should have been fatal. The station doctor, a Vrelian named Shanthis, approached with a data pad. Director, you need to see this. Their medical scans are extraordinary. They did suffer radiation damage. Severe damage to their DNA and cellular structure. By all logic, they should be dead or dying. But, Krenthis prompted. But their bodies are repairing the damage. Their DNA has multiple redundancy systems and repair mechanisms I have never seen before. The damage from 4 days ago is already 70% healed. They will make a complete recovery within a week. Krenthis stared at the medical data. It was impossible. No known species could repair radiation damage this fast. How? He asked Margaret. She shrugged. Earth's sun is radioactive. It bombards our planet with radiation every day. Our atmosphere blocks most of it but not all. Over millions of years, our bodies learned to fix radiation damage. We evolved to survive it. Your evolution prepared you for this? Krenthis asked in wonder. Evolution is a harsh teacher, Margaret replied. On Earth, if you cannot adapt, you die. Our ancestors adapted. Now we can do things that other species cannot. Thomas, one of the other crew members, added, We still feel terrible though. Radiation sickness is not fun. But it will pass. Krenthis looked at these 3 humans who had flown into certain death to save millions of strangers. They had suffered greatly but never complained. They treated impossible odds as just another job. The Council owes you an enormous debt, Krenthis said formally. Margaret smiled. No debt needed, Director. We are all part of the galaxy now. When someone needs help, you help them. That is what civilized people do. As Krenthis left the medical bay, he added a note to humanity's file in the Council database. One word that would change how the galaxy viewed these strange newcomers. Indestructible. The holographic display showed a structure buried deep beneath the ocean on planet Thalassia Prime. Council archaeologist Shrenthis pointed at the ancient building with one of her 6 tentacles. This is a precursor facility, she announced to the gathered scientists. Our scans indicate it contains data storage units. Information that could be thousands of years old. Possibly warnings or knowledge we desperately need. Another scientist raised a claw. How deep is it? 15 kilometers below the ocean surface, Shrenthis replied. The room fell silent. Everyone understood what that meant. At 15 kilometers deep, the water pressure was 900 times normal atmospheric pressure. It would crush any living being instantly. Even their strongest submarines had failed at half that depth. We have attempted 6 missions, Shrenthis continued sadly. 6 different designs, 6 different teams. All failed. The pressure destroys our vessels before they reach the facility. We cannot access this knowledge. For 3 months the council tried everything. Stronger hulls. Better materials. Remote drones. Nothing worked. The ocean of Thalassia Prime kept its secrets locked away in crushing darkness. Then a message arrived from Earth. A human engineer named William Grant had reviewed their data. He claimed he could reach the facility. Shrenthis was skeptical but desperate. She invited William to Thalassia Prime to present his plan. William arrived 2 weeks later. He was a tall man with rough hands and graying hair. He wore simple work clothes and carried a battered data pad. He did not look like someone who could solve an impossible problem. "Thank you for coming, Mr. Grant," Shrenthis said politely. "Though I must warn you, our best engineers have failed at this task." William smiled. "I read their reports. Very impressive technology. But they are thinking about this wrong." "Wrong?" Shrenthis felt mildly offended. "How so?" "Your engineers are trying to resist the pressure," William explained. "Building thicker walls, stronger materials. But pressure always wins eventually. You cannot fight the ocean. You have to work with it." He pulled up images on his data pad. Strange cylindrical vessels with small windows. "These are submarines from Earth. We have been building them for over 200 years. Earth's oceans reach depths of 11 kilometers in some places. We have been to the bottom many times." Shrenthis examined the designs. They looked primitive compared to council technology. Yet William claimed they worked. "The secret is not fighting the pressure," William continued. "It is distributing it. Round shapes, flexible joints, materials that compress slightly but do not break. Let the ocean squeeze you, but do not let it crack you." "You want to build one of these submarines here?" Shrenthis asked. "Already did," William grinned. "It is in your orbital station right now. My team has been assembling it for the past week. We can dive tomorrow if you approve." Shrenthis was stunned. This human had built an entire deep-sea vessel without even asking for permission. Either he was incredibly confident or incredibly foolish. The next morning, Shrenthis watched from a surface ship as William and 2 other humans climbed into their submarine. The vessel looked small and fragile. She feared she was about to witness 3 deaths. Beginning descent, William's voice crackled over the radio. "See you in about 6 hours." The submarine sank below the waves and disappeared. 1 kilometer down, Shrenthis checked the monitors nervously. The pressure readings made her tentacles curl in fear. No living thing should survive that crushing force. "Doing fine," William reported cheerfully. "Water is pretty clear here. Lots of interesting fish." 5 kilometers down. The previous council missions had all failed around this depth. Their hulls had cracked, imploded, or simply been crushed flat. "Getting darker," William said. Switching to external lights. "Oh, that is a big one. Some kind of whale, I think. Beautiful creature." 10 kilometers down. Complete darkness now. The pressure was so immense that it would turn any council member into liquid. "Hull integrity good," William reported. "We are right on schedule. Beginning to see some bioluminescent life. You should send a biology team down here someday. Amazing stuff." 15 kilometers. The submarine's sensors pinged as it approached the precursor facility. Shrenthis held her breath, all 3 of her breathing tubes quivering. "We have arrived," William announced. "Docking with the facility now. Give us about an hour to download the data." Shrenthis could hardly believe it. They had actually made it. After 6 failures and months of frustration, 3 humans had simply descended to the impossible depth like it was nothing. 90 minutes later, the submarine began its ascent. William sounded excited on the radio. "We got everything. The data storage was intact. Ancient star maps, warnings about some kind of cosmic threat, technological blueprints. Your scientists are going to be busy for years analyzing all this." When the submarine surfaced, Shrenthis was waiting on the deck. The humans emerged from the hatch, smiling and talking animatedly about what they had seen. They showed no signs of stress or injury. "Mr. Grant," Shrenthis said carefully, "how did you make this look so easy? Our best engineers said it was impossible." William laughed. "Director, Earth is 70% water. When my ancestors were still crawling out of the ocean, we were already curious about what was beneath the waves. We explored tide pools, then coastal waters, then the deep ocean. We built submarines because we wanted to see the bottom. We wanted to know what was down there in the dark." Another human, a woman named Elizabeth, added, "The ocean tried to keep us out. The pressure, the cold, the darkness. But humans do not take no for an answer. If there is something to explore, we find a way." "But you are land creatures," Shrenthis protested. "Why explore something so hostile to your biology?" "Because it is there," William said simply. Because it is unknown. Humans explored our oceans before we explored space. We learned that nowhere is truly off-limits if you are clever enough and determined enough. Shrenthis looked at the small submarine that had accomplished what 6 council vessels could not. It was not more advanced. It was not more powerful. It was simply designed by beings who refused to accept limits. We have hundreds of facilities on various water worlds, Shrenthis said slowly. Most are beyond our reach due to depth or pressure. Would humans be willing to help us access them? William's eyes lit up. Director, you are offering us the chance to explore alien oceans on different planets? We would pay you for that opportunity. No payment necessary, Shrenthis said. You have already given us access to information we thought was lost forever. Partnership, Mr. Grant. Not payment. As the humans packed up their equipment, Shrenthis reviewed the data they had retrieved. Warnings about an ancient enemy. Technology that could advance council science by decades. All of it locked away where no one thought it could be reached. No one except humans who looked at impossible depths and saw only another place to explore. She updated humanity's file in the council database once more. Under special abilities she added, no environmental boundary too extreme. Curiosity exceeds all obstacles. The ocean had kept its secrets for thousands of years. But it had never encountered humans before. The emergency sirens echoed through Council Central Station. Security Director Vren watched the casualty reports climb higher on his screens. 300 dead. 500. 800. The numbers kept rising. A biological weapon had been released on 4 different Council worlds simultaneously. A nerve agent so toxic that even trace amounts caused instant death. The victims simply collapsed and stopped breathing. No warning. No cure. No hope. What do we know about this weapon? Vren demanded, his voice tight with controlled panic. His chief medical officer, a Threnian named Kilos, displayed a molecular diagram. It is unlike anything we have seen before. The compound attacks the nervous system at a cellular level. Every species we have tested shows complete system failure within seconds of exposure. Every species? Vren asked. Every species, Kilos confirmed grimly. This was designed to be universally lethal. Whoever created it wanted to kill everyone. The death toll passed 2,000. Entire colonies were being evacuated. Planets were being quarantined. Fear spread faster than the weapon itself. Can we create an antidote? Vren asked desperately. Kilos manipulated the display showing complex chemical chains. We have been trying. But the compound uses elements that are toxic to all known life. Just being near these chemicals causes cellular damage. We cannot even study it safely, much less create a defense. A junior technician approached nervously. Director Vren, there is a human scientist requesting to examine the weapon data. A Dr. James Bennett from Earth. A human. Vren felt a flicker of hope. The council had learned that humans were unusually resilient. Send him in immediately. Dr. James Bennett entered the command center 5 minutes later. He was a young man with messy brown hair and glasses that kept sliding down his nose. He carried a portable computer and looked more curious than frightened. Dr. Bennett, thank you for coming, Vren said. We need help desperately. This weapon is killing thousands. Show me the molecular structure, James said, already opening his computer. Kilos transferred the data. James studied it carefully, his eyes moving across the screen. Then he stopped. He stared. His expression changed from concentration to confusion to something that looked almost like amusement. Is something funny, Doctor? Vren asked coldly. Because I assure you, mass death is not entertaining. No, I am sorry, James said quickly, though a smile tugged at his lips. It is just, this weapon. These compounds. I recognize them. You have seen this before? Kilos asked urgently. Not as a weapon, James replied. He pointed at the screen. This component here, this is a capsaicin derivative. We use it as food flavoring. It makes things taste spicy. This one is an ethanol variant. That is in alcoholic drinks. And this is theobromine. It is in chocolate. The room fell completely silent. Did you say, food? Vren asked slowly. Yes, James confirmed. On Earth, these chemicals exist naturally in plants. They evolved as defenses to stop animals from eating them. But humans ate them anyway. Over time, our bodies adapted. Now we enjoy these things. We seek them out for pleasure. Kilos checked his data frantically. That is impossible. These compounds should be universally toxic. They cause neural disruption, cellular breakdown, respiratory failure. In your species, yes, James agreed. But not in humans. Our bodies process these chemicals easily. We have enzymes specifically designed to break them down and eliminate them safely. You are saying this deadly weapon is made from human snack food? Vren could not believe what he was hearing. Basically yes, James said. Though in much higher concentrations than we would normally consume. Whoever designed this weapon studied Earth's biochemistry and weaponized our food. It is actually quite clever. They found the few things that are toxic to everyone except humans. Can you create an antidote? Vren asked. James was already typing. I can do better than that. I can synthesize the enzymes humans use to process these compounds. If I modify them slightly, they should work for other species too. Give me access to a lab in about 48 hours. Kilos looked doubtful. Doctor, our best scientists have been working on this for days with no progress. Your best scientists come from worlds where these chemicals do not exist, James replied gently. I come from a world that weaponized chemistry against itself. Our plants produce poisons. Our animals produce venoms. Our air contains pollutants. Our water has bacteria. Humans evolved to survive in a toxic environment. This is what we do. Vren assigned James to the station's best research facility. True to his word, James worked for 48 hours straight. He barely ate or slept. Other human scientists arrived to help, including a woman named Anne and a man named Peter. They worked together like they had done this before. On the morning of the third day, James emerged from the lab holding a small vial of clear liquid. This is it, he announced. A universal antidote. It will neutralize the weapon in any species system and provide temporary immunity for about 6 months. Kilos immediately ran tests. The antidote worked perfectly. Within hours, production facilities across Council space were manufacturing millions of doses. The death toll stopped climbing. Infected populations were treated. The crisis began to fade. Vren found James in the station cafeteria, finally eating a proper meal. The human looked exhausted but satisfied. Dr. Bennett, you saved millions of lives, Vren said formally. The Council owes you an impossible debt. James shook his head. No debt, Director. We are part of this community now. When someone attacks the Council, they attack us too. We protect our own. I must ask, Vren said carefully. What kind of planet creates a species that thrives on poison? James thought for a moment before answering. Earth did not give us a choice, Director. Our world was full of things trying to kill us. Toxic plants, venomous animals, deadly microbes. We could either evolve to handle it or go extinct. We chose to evolve. He took a bite of his food and smiled. Actually, this station food is quite bland. Do you have anything spicy? Vren watched this young human casually request poison for flavor. He thought about how humanity's entire existence was shaped by surviving in hostile conditions. They had turned their planet's weapons into their daily diet. Later that day, Vren updated humanity's council file once more. Under biological notes, he added, human biochemistry adapted to process toxins as nutrition. What kills others, they consume for pleasure. Approach Earth biology with extreme caution and profound respect. The weapon that should have destroyed the Council had been neutralized by a species that ate poison for breakfast. Vren decided that having humans as allies was far better than having them as enemies. After all, anyone who could turn death into chocolate was not someone you wanted to fight. The Great Council chamber hummed with nervous energy. Representatives from 200 species gathered in the massive hall, their voices creating a symphony of different languages and sounds. At the center podium, Council Speaker Drenthis called for silence. We convene today to discuss what we are calling the human paradox, Drenthis announced. His voice echoed through the chamber. In the 5 years since humanity joined our council, they have achieved things we thought impossible. Holographic displays lit up around the room. Images of human colonies appeared on worlds the council had marked as uninhabitable. Planets with crushing gravity, toxic atmospheres, extreme radiation, temperatures that would boil or freeze most species. Every single colony was thriving. On Kepler 442b, 50,000 humans live in conditions that killed our research teams, Drenthis continued. In the scorched belt, human ships operate where radiation should be instantly fatal. On ocean worlds, they dive to depths that crush our strongest vessels. They have turned our rejected worlds into productive settlements. A Vrelian counselor raised a claw. What is your point, Speaker? Are we here to praise humans? No, Drenthis replied. We are here to understand them. Because we need to know if they are a threat or an opportunity. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Some species viewed humanity with suspicion. Others with wonder. all with confusion. I propose we hear directly from them, Drenthis said. Ambassador Helen Foster of Earth, please approach. A human woman walked to the center of the chamber. She was middle-aged with graying hair tied back simply. She wore a plain blue suit with Earth's symbol on the shoulder. She looked calm and confident. Honored council members, Helen began. Thank you for this opportunity. I understand you have questions about my species. I will try to answer them honestly. Why can humans survive where all others fail? A Threnian representative asked bluntly. What makes you different? Helen smiled slightly. We are not special. We are not superior. We are simply the product of our environment. Let me tell you about Earth. She activated her own holographic display. An image of Earth appeared, a blue and green sphere floating in space. Earth looks beautiful from orbit, Helen said. But the surface tells a different story. Our planet has been trying to kill us since we first evolved. The display changed, showing massive storms. These are hurricanes. Wind speeds over 300 kilometers per hour. They destroy entire cities. We have dozens every year. More images appeared. Earthquakes shattering buildings. Volcanoes spewing fire. Tsunamis drowning coastal areas. Our planet's crust moves constantly, Helen explained. The ground literally breaks apart beneath our feet. Mountains explode. The ocean rises up and swallows our homes. A Kasari counselor spoke up. But these are natural disasters. All planets have them. Not like Earth, Helen replied. She showed new images. These are ice ages. Every 100,000 years, our entire planet freezes. Glaciers a kilometer thick cover the continents. Most life dies. Then it thaws and everything floods. This has happened dozens of times. The council chamber grew quieter. Our planet has 5 mass extinctions in its history, Helen continued. Events that killed 70 to 90% of all life. Asteroid impacts, volcanic eruptions, climate catastrophes. Each time life barely survived. But it did survive. She showed images of Earth's animals. Lions, bears, sharks, crocodiles. These are our predators. They are faster than us, stronger than us, better armed than us. For millions of years they hunted us. We were prey. We should have gone extinct. But you did not, Drenthis observed. No, Helen agreed. We adapted. We got smarter. We made tools. We learned to work together. We turned from prey into the planet's dominant species. Not because we were strong but because we refused to die. New images appeared. Diseases, bacteria, viruses. Earth's microbes have killed more humans than all predators combined, Helen said. Plagues that wiped out half our population. Diseases that still kill millions. Our own biology attacks us constantly. We have cancers, autoimmune disorders, genetic defects. Our bodies try to kill us from the inside. She paused, looking around the chamber. So you ask what makes humans different? Nothing. We are simply the descendants of survivors. Every single human alive today comes from ancestors who survived ice ages, plagues, predators, disasters, and extinction events. We are the species that learned that survival is not about ideal conditions. It is about refusing to quit. Captain Velther, now an advisor to the council, stood from his seat. Ambassador Foster, there are 2,000 worlds in our database that we cannot colonize. Too hostile. Too dangerous. What would humanity do with access to those worlds? Helen's expression grew serious. We would turn them into homes, Captain. Not by making them perfect but by adapting to them. We would study them. Learn from them. Find ways to thrive in their conditions. Just like we did on Earth. And in return? Another counselor asked suspiciously. Partnership, Helen said simply. We are not conquerors. We do not want to dominate. We want to be part of this council. We want to contribute. Those hostile worlds have resources you cannot access. Technologies you cannot study. Strategic positions you cannot defend. Let us help. The chamber erupted in debate. Some species argued against it. Too risky. Too unpredictable. Others saw the opportunity. Worlds that were liabilities could become assets. Drenthis called for a vote. The result was nearly unanimous. Humanity was officially classified as a persistent species. They were granted colonization rights to worlds rated red zone or higher. In exchange, they would share resources and technology with the Council. 5 years later, Velther visited New Plymouth again. The colony had grown to 300,000 people. They had built universities and hospitals. Children played in the high gravity like it was normal. You have done well here, Velther told Helen, who now served as the colony's governor. This is just the beginning, Helen replied. She showed him a star map with dozens of red markers. We have 73 colonies now. Worlds that were considered impossible. Each one is thriving. I have learned something about humans, Velther said thoughtfully. You do not conquer worlds. You convince them to accept you. Somehow, even the harshest planets seem to welcome you. Helen laughed. We are persistent, Captain. That is our gift and our curse. When Earth taught us to survive, it taught us well. She looked up at the alien sky above New Plymouth. 2 moons hung in the heavy atmosphere. Every world is hostile until you learn its rules, she continued. Earth had brutal rules, but we learned them. These colony worlds are no different. We just have to figure out how to live with them. Velther watched human children racing through streets built on a planet that should have killed them. He thought about all the impossible places humans now called home. Where others perish, humans thrive, he said quietly. Not thrive, Helen corrected gently. Survive. There is a difference. We are not better than anyone else. We just do not know how to give up. Across the galaxy, human colonies spread to worlds no one else wanted. They turned wastelands into farms, death zones into cities, impossible places into homes. Because Earth had taught them the most important lesson in the universe. Nowhere is truly impossible if you are stubborn enough to stay.